Another glorious day will bring us some hard racing to see as we're coming to you down live here in Talladega, Alabama. Once again, as we're about to see the Ruff-Neck Racing's James Wagner's Super Speedway Series back at it, presented in part by James Wagner's Welding. Here, down for the Gen 4 Cup Series, it's first time ever here on Speed Zone TV. Hi, everyone. I am Christian Shriver, the dead man on the mic, and one with the hot mic. You know I'll end up 6 feet underground before you know this time around. So let's get it down to the track side and see what we got going on here as we are taking a look at our starting lineup. On the pole for this one, we'll start with Nicholas Don Francesco, the outside. The number 5 is Shane Wilden Sr. Row number 2 is going to be Ben Parsons. And number 33, the outside, the 97. That's going to be Adam Sprinkle. Row number 3 is the 30 of James Wagner, the outside. And the 58 is Johnny Hurst. Row number 4 and the 96, it'll be Matthew, the Ace Barker, the outside. And the 69, Brian Lashbrook. Row number 5 and the 2 is Tim Richardson, the outside. And number 34 is Mike Straminsky. Row 6 and the 11 is Cody Troyer on the outside. Number 22, it is Gary Sicklecow. Row number 7 is going to be the number 17 of Ty Tradford, the outside. And the 28 is Barry Tollison. Row number 8 and the 7, it's Dalton Steele, the outside. And the 78, Tyler Manning. Row 9 and the 3 is Tyler Barnes, the outside. And the 98, Eric Coppathorn. Our shotgun of the field tonight is going to be driven in the number 18. That is Justin Wine. Race fans, it's time once again to get down to the track, get side, and get ready for some hard racing action coming your way. This is Ruff-Neck Super Speedway Series presented by James Wagner's Welding. Drivers preparing themselves up for this one. A long, long shootout about to commence. For many of these drivers, it's just part of the game and part of the show. But for a lot of them, they're still looking for that win, the elusive, tough to tame, tough to grab win. And it's very heated racing scenario. Not going to be a whole lot of give around here, especially with the way this one's going to play out. Track temps right now looking good here. An average of 78 degrees out here. Partly cloudy skies. Wind blowing only about 2 miles to the north here. Can make things a little bit interesting as they get a lot longer in the run here. So expect drivers to really be shooting for some gaps and shooting for some spots where they can. That's going to be kind of the main goal set and main time to make their runs and make their shots here. As we showed you all our camera angles before we get ready to roll it down onto the circuit. A who's who of drivers here preparing for this one. Got to be feeling the pressure too. Again, swapping from a car that they were getting so used to in that Gen 7 to now having to go to this Gen 4 Super Speedway package. It's definitely going to throw them for a few curveballs. In my opinion, it's going to definitely give them quite a bit of runs here that they do not expect in so many ways. Piling them in and outside on around. We're getting ready to go green here. Ryan Turner 4106 says hello, and Sarah Lashbrook 2238 says let's go 69, 5, and 30. Drivers, you got your fans in the stands. You got your seatbelts tightened up a bit. Get ready to rack, stack, and go on the attack. Your first start of the series today in the Gen 4 sends them on down their way to the green flag. We fly them high into the skies. Quite a different sound you're going to be hearing for these Gen 4 cars compared to those hard, heavier, rough and tumble Gen 7s, the next gens, if you will. These Gen 4 package is going to be a very interesting package to deal with too. Again, it's not quite the actual Super Speedway Gen 4 package that was ran long ago, but it's a very similar setup in my opinion, a very big get compared to what I would consider probably closer relating towards the Truck and ARCA series and maybe a little bit of the Xfinity package. Though there is a lot of speed and a lot of power that can be brought down on the track and really push the end of the spot here. really, the trouble's going to fall where the drivers maintain their distance, maintain control. Do they reap the rewards early and try to use that speed and momentum, or do they kind of lay off a bit and let up when they have to? Staying in control of your own destiny and staying in control of your own drives is going to be one very difficult situation here, as you see multiple drivers just trying to get themselves further and squared along onto the track circuit. Some kind of staying out of the way and some kind of wanting to push their way up to the front quickly here. But on the bottom lane right now, in a very similar looking DuPont paint scheme, I think many people are well aware of and well known for, has the early lead. Nicholas Don Francesco right now with Tim Richardson right behind him currently with his hard charging buddy. Richardson has charged up 7 spots. He is tied. The hard charger award, the other driver, the number 7, Dalton Steele, who is, well, ironically enough, 7 spots up. Not doing too shabby by any means under the hood there, as you get a good look now at the cars in the pack. And again, you're going to be seeing a lot of aerodynamics really be put to the test here. These cars are going to be pushing speeds well over 200 plus miles per hour. Right now, their top speed about 198 to 195, but again, they are trying to stay away from getting too much power out of the gate. Kind of let the cars relinquish speed in order to save the fuel. Fuel saving going to be very strategic here, very tough to nail down. The drivers are obviously going to be trying to avoid getting into one another and avoid trouble, and they know with the RC in the booth, they have got to be very close in tension and watch out for mistakes, because that one mistake could cost them dearly. As we've got a new leader now marched up to the charge, the number 33, Chevrolet's Ben Parson has got to the top spot. 2 different manufacturers, this one, Ford and Chevy. Chevy's very reliant this time around. They have a lot of heavy hitters in there. The Fords, well, they are in a team of their own right now. They are working hard to try to keep that get up and try to keep that speed in between. James Wagner, the number 30 right now, up on the spot and up on the binders, currently dealing with the V5 right behind him. That's tonight being driven, it looks like, by the number 96 here of Matthew, the Ace Barker, although I really wish he would probably have warned me he was going to drive a car that was not quite the number he's driving right now. The V5 Vagisil machine, I'm just going to call it the V5 even though he's supposed to be driving the number 96, and before you think I'm lying to you, that's what he's supposed to have on his scheme there, or at the very least, that's what the number is supposed to be. Not exactly sure what he went up for on that design, but I will admit it is a pretty unique little design. So can't hate the player. No, you can't hate the game. Shane Wheeldon Sr. here in the Slowick Stuff number 5. Not bad actually out of the gate here, doing too well there. The Ford's kind of cooking a bit right now as that one little Chevy and mixed in with another Chevy or two behind him. Not doing too shabby on the spot here at the moment. And you can see the gap starting to grow and kind of dissipate some drivers off. Looks like we have 3 to 4 drivers lost in the shuffle there. Eric Copperthorne, Gary Sigelkow, Barry Tollison, and Justin Wine. As you can see, all separated out there. It looks like they lost their draft line, lost the speed, and now they are hoping for a little bit of a breather, a bit of a break here. Number 33, Ben Parson now back to the race lead once again. Did have a little bit of company there up on his doorstep as Nicholas Don Francesco was right there with him. James Wagner as well, he did as well, I believe, lead at least a lap. So not too shabby on their part, not too shabby so far. Get a good look at our onboard camera here with the number 69, Brian Lashbrook right now as Sarah watches along with us here. You can see the inside of the cocker right there. You can see that footwork. He's working hard on getting the accelerator down. Then when he has to, lets off, gives it some time to breathe. Watching closely at the over temperatures and the over temps. If it overheats or starts to get a little too cooked down there, that will be kind of a selling point. You have to back off and get out of it before it's too late. Smart thinking on that face and smart thinking on that kind of drive. Looks like we got one of them down on the yellow line there below. We'll get passed up, trying to stay out of trouble as the 3 of Tyler Barnes trying to let him back in there. That is number 78 of Tyler Manning. Kind of found himself in a bit of a trap spot there now. We'll see how the draft line works. We're going to stay on board with Manning for just a second. I want you to pay close attention here. You notice how far he was just a minute ago? Now look at this. Just about 2 or 3 seconds later, catches the draft. Look at how quick that draft pushes right through. Again, that is the Twisted Sister concept of these cars being pushed in and pushed down at that speed and that momentum. It helps honestly keep that run in play and helps them stay one step ahead when the transition gets too far. But what that can also do is that when it comes to that long run fight, it makes it that much harder to make sure you need to stay with the draft and not over accelerate to burn more fuel down. Sarah saying, yeah, that's confusing sometimes when their paint scheme number doesn't match their league number. Yeah, I know that well, that Sarah, but at the same time, you know, makes for good content when I gotta kind of call it out sometimes. Not that it's a bad thing on the drivers, it's just kind of fun to kind of notice. 3 wide right off of turn number 1 and 2 there. We got a who's who of them running up quick. The number 58 machine there, Johnny Hurst, getting a little bit of a push there from Tyler Barnes, and the number 3 is Dalton Steele, and the 77 of Adam Sprinkle. Getting a little bit of a go around there from the Nesquik, number 11 of Cody Troyer. Everybody in that group right now just trying to get back up to the draft zone and trying to get back into this one here. And again, we take another look at the back here. I want you to take a look at this car. Notice how the Twisted Sister concept, that car on the right side, is skewed more towards the left than it is towards the right. So you notice that right there, you see it actually just skewed over more to the right, allows the car to aerodynamically get through the corners and through the turns a lot better. And I think you get a good look right there. You can see how it just swings more to the right. Again, it's putting all the weight onto the left-hand side and letting the right-hand side basically take the suspension and twist it around, allowing it to turn much better through the corners for the obvious reason being they run on ovals more often, so they want to use it more towards the left. And it just makes for a very, I don't know if I want to say interesting, just want to say interesting car, but I want to say it makes for a very unique concept in terms of what this car was way back then. Way back when, and now brought to the iRacing world. And you know, honestly, race fans, if you don't know the story about this, there was actually a kind of a funny story that brought this car to life. What originally happened was on an update that iRacing was originally planning, they actually had brought this was the old ARCA car, if you can believe it. It was an old Chevrolet style body. What it was is that they didn't have necessarily the right template and everything on it. So it's basically just a Gen 4 body without the Twisted Sister skew. And what they did is that they accidentally put all the horsepower that a Gen 4 car has into that car. Or so at least we're being told from the iRacing people and the officials down there in Massachusetts somewhere. And basically when it all was said and done, the fans had literally requested that they do not change it. They leave it alone. They wanted that package and everything stayed on it. So when the season began, that was the car that they got. It was this exact style, just not the body template. And it was literally the exact Gen 4 that was way back when. All released by accident, but by huge popular demand, the fans got what they wanted. Though I have been told, unfortunately, over the times now that the Gen 4 has changed on most tracks to what it should not be. But I have been told, of course, that this car still has a very nasty little habit of being bad fast and wear and tear on the track. So again, this is no gimme. These guys right now are fighting the currents, the speeds, the aerodynamic deficiencies, as well as having to constantly be up against with one another and face each other at such a high level. Nearly 1/3 of the way there. And so far, it's been kind of who's who of drivers taking their shots and taking their spots here. Nicholas Don Francesco, your race leader. And again, Don Francesco, a couple times ago, he was right in this hunt. He was literally right there in the taking, looking to get that victory. And I think something a lot of drivers kind of said as they were going into this race was, well, at least we don't have to worry about Ben Ryan running around here. Last couple times, Ben was the one that was on top of the mountain and on top of the driving spot, coming in full steam ahead and literally taking full shots in the dark and taking this Talladega by surprise. Did the same thing down at Daytona, I believe, with that next gen. But today, no luck for him, not able to make it for the show, I believe due to personal reasons. So we do hope that he'll be able to join us out here sometime soon enough. Everybody kind of right now separated out in the packs here. Some drivers sticking together, some just trying to get a pack working here. Either way, right now it is a bit of a slow burner for some of these guys as they are currently having to face in huge speeds and huge splits. Now working their way through lap traffic, Justin Wise, number 18, the first one to be put on the lap marker down right now. Streamlining down their way off through turn number 3. Ben Parsons still leading it. Tim Richardson still in that hunt. You know, the thing is, too, is that Tim Richardson is not exactly just let off in any case. He's actually been pretty steady and pretty handedly keeping himself in control of his own destiny here. See again just how loose these cars are getting. And keep in mind, these guys aren't touching, mind you. These are literally cars that are just getting up into the draft, getting some power and speed in there. And the next thing you know, they're having to shake that thing around like it's a rag doll in a wrestling match. They are doing everything they can just to hold these things down and trying to keep these cars stabilized. Again, this isn't a 550 horsepower package they're running. If I've got to guess, I'd say they're probably running closer to a 650, 670 in those things. But just considering how hard they are to drive and how hard they are to control, man, they are absolutely cooking it down there. Ty Tradford, for the record, just showed a 2:05 that last time by in his lap time. He's right now struggling to keep up with the pace, but at the moment, you know, the fact that he was able to get that draft line going and get it shot down, man, he was cooking that speed and endurance. So that begs the question, too. When you're going into pit road, do you opt to take tires and try to keep yourself stabilized more, or do you opt to just try and stay one step ahead of the other drivers in terms of that fuel? That's going to be something we're going to need to see here later on. David G. Johnstone says, Richardson is looking strong. Great to have you on board. Great to see you coming on the track. And yes, indeed, like I just mentioned a second ago, Richardson, again, pretty much been smooth as silk and very quiet. Hasn't tried to get too crazy yet. But again, it is early. And I say early, we're only like, we're already 1/3 of the way there. We're almost towards the halfway point. But really, these plate track races, man, you cannot let up anything. You cannot give an inch to nobody. Looks like Justin Wine going to be our first one into pit road. Brian Lashbrook, Dalton Steele, and Cody Troyer scrambling in the background right now, just trying to see what they can do. Everybody right now, I gotta believe, just trying to get back up to that draft spot and trying to get back into this draft zone. Gary Sicklecow, Eric Copperthorne, and Ty Tradford up into the bunch and up into the fight. And it's crazy just how quick that draft, man. You can see again, just Gary Sicklecow there just for a second. He was just absolutely back there for a little bit there out of that draft. But look at him, he just plows that speed back underneath. He is drafting hard. He's pushing hard just to get back into this here. But again, that's just from one side of the draft point here. And Sicklecow, as I mentioned, that goes into pit road here, so that will square him up once more. here we go. Into pit road we enter. Ben Parson way hard on the gas pedal and then into that brake there, just getting into pit road. You can see a good field of them just trying to get squared up now. It's a race against the clock to get in and out. Here we go. Tyler Barnes in first. See if maybe he just takes fuel. Looks like that's going to be just fuel for him. Everybody else looks like that'll be about the same. So that is the word of choice. No tires out of pit road. It's going to be only fuel for this go. The rest of the field getting in and out. Again, they are trying to hurry up and get some packed drafts back in their lineup. It's going to be really hard, though, to get that drafting zone figured out because, again, even though there's 19 cars on the track, that's not exactly going to give you much option in a way of making perfect choices from perfect mistakes here. Tyler Barnes in a, well, let's just say a very famous scheme, if you've kind of already could guess that, for this track especially. I guess if there was ever a number famous for this place besides any of those Alabama gang boys, I think you might have to argue the DII cars, and especially the man in black himself. So I will give Barnes credit. At least he kind of stuck to a number that's not quite exactly that same format. Nothing against the paint scheme or nothing. I just always think that that number font should have been retired when all it was said and done. That's just me, though. You guys can argue with me in the comment section about that. Ben Parson right now, the race leader, but let's just say that's not going to be for long. He's got some guys coming up on him quick. Here they come. And again, this is after literally just one lap right around the circuit. Look at how quick they come right up on him. They get him. Oh, look out! Well, I guess that was a pretty good frame and camera angle to tell you what exactly happened there. My word. Dan Francesco coming right up on the back of the number 33 and just completely gave him the rub and gave him a shot in the dark. We'll have to go to the replay and look at that one more time. Watch again, folks. Come right down on the back straightaway there. Entering into the turn, and again, Francesco probably expecting to kind of take that bump, but again, Parsons just kind of gave him a little too quick on the hedge. Nuzzled down a little bit and then squared it back up. Next thing you know, they're both scrambling to get back into this one. And man, they are both absolutely got to be infuriated with themselves knowing that they had a good run there and now they've got a lot of catching up to do. So now the field kind of spreading themselves out further. You got 4 cars. Well, I was going to say 4 cars drafting off one another, but at this point, it looks like they all want to leave the others behind. Tyler Barnes, though, man, talk about a block and a half there. That 3, he was leading, and then he said, no, you ain't. And the 5, Shane Welding Sr. tried desperately to get up top there and got literally the block of the century. That block was so strong, I think even Joey Logano would be proud. As you can see now, that block might have cost him a little bit more time than he realized here. As now Matthew Barker Hayes moves up the positions and moves through the shots, taking full control of that. James Wagoner in the number 30 here with the other 4 to Shane Welding Sr. Now looking to try and lead this one out. And again, I was wondering too if that tandem drafting was going to play a factor in this one. And so far, it really seems like if you get at least 2 cars locked up and locked in, that is the game plan and that is what you want. But it's still very hard to tell whether or not it's going to work exactly the way it needs to. take a look at the back of the field right now and look at the rest of our drivers here at the moment. Currently, the closest one to that group there is Nicholas Francesco and Ben Parson. Now, remember, again, that was literally, you can see right there just how far off they are from one another. That, again, it was just because there was a little bit of a kick up there from Don Francesco on Parson. And Parson, ever since that little clip, basically has just been trying to shoehorn it back in, trying to get somewhere close in this bunch. And a who's who of drivers right now, just hopefully just trying to get something figured out here. And guys like the number 18, Justin Wine, as he's got company right up on his doorstep with the number 17 of Ty Stratford. Stratford, and then that 22 right behind him, Gary Sigelcow. Those guys right now doing what they can just with all that they have left. But unfortunately right now, it's not giving them much to work with. Again, Wine down a lap, and the other two just trying to stay on the lead lap. Take a look at the best times on the lineup here right at the moment. Looking at the best time zone here, really the 50-second mark is where you need to be and where you want to be. And the drivers that have hit that fastest so far are in the 50.92s. And ironically, they were hit by 3 drivers, and guess who just so happens to be those top 3 drivers? Although Tyler Barnes in that number 3 has set a time of 50.89, a little bit later in there it looks like, so he's not far off. But Shane Welding Sr., James Wagoner, and the ace Matthew Barker, they're the ones he's currently trying to hunt down, trying to get something figured out with. Get a good look on board camera here and a good look at the inside of this bad boy here. Very beautiful looking inside of the cockpit interior in my opinion. And you can just see too just how far off that draft zone and that spot is. Now again, you would think at home like, okay, well why isn't he getting up as quick as they were earlier? Well, you got to remember something. When you got 3 other cars or 2 other cars that are drafting like that and they create that information there, they are literally setting themselves up for a huge dilemma of speed and keeping themselves one step ahead of the change in the aero and change in positioning. The more cars you have work with each other, the better the driving becomes. Sarah Lashbrook says, I feel like at least 4 cars is best for the draft. And yeah, honestly, I would agree. I would argue, though, if you have at least 2 or 3, I think, honestly, it'd be just as strong as if not 4 or 5. Now, however, I will say this. If somehow, some way, they found a way to line up like 5 or 6 of them, and somehow that driver up front was able to be pushed and shoved and keep that momentum up, I think, honestly, that could be a huge difference maker in some ways. Looks like they'll carry Eric Coppathorne now up there with the 17 and the 22. Car number 98 being driven tonight, again, by Eric Coppathorne. He is in the Chevrolet Monte Carlo. And really, in my opinion, it's been kind of a sleeper hit in terms of his racing credibility, his racing credits, and racing style here. He knows how to get the job done, knows how to kind of get it back in place and back in the spots here. He's trying to prove it right now with just being in contention, staying in that realm of top 10s. Johnny Hurst now being put behind Dustin White, so you don't want to be the one that's in last place, they say. So Johnny Hurst and Justin White going to have a little go at it to see which one can get the better of the other, it seems. Lining them back around and back in place there. We are at 21 laps left to go here in Talladega. Now, you may be wondering at home, well, weren't we supposed to be racing down at Eco Park or at Atlanta Motor Speedway, as we really should say, in the Superspeedway package? Well, yes, that was the original intention. However, for whatever reason, iRacing decided that the Gen 4s over there, they would get a little too hot, so we don't want to blow the motors on them. To that, I commend Ruff-Neck Racing for making sure that they don't end up in a bad spot, in a bad place there. They end up switching it back over to Talladega, making sure that they can get themselves squared up. As it looks like there are some problems down there for the number 11 of Cody Troyer. We will go take a look at the replay here and see what exactly happened. Looks like might have ran into a little problem here going in through turn number 1. Yep. Looking at the Speed Zone TV instant replay, looks like, yeah, he just unfortunately car having to be shut down there, and that is what has brought him out of the race. It's a tough day for him there, unfortunately. Hope he is okay and hope nothing too serious has happened down there for the number 11 team. Every driver for themselves right now. Currently, you got 2 packs working together. And again, these guys right now, they are just desperately trying to see if they can even catch a break or catch that chance. They want to try to get that opportunity to stay one step in it and one step through it. A lot of them, though, are really kind of find themselves in a bit of a bad spot here. Just because, again, you got to think the circumstances of the draft line, how they control the car, and how the car is handling with them on and around the circuit. I got to believe more than anything, it really is hindering them as much as it is giving them that golden shovel, if you will, to burn through the speed, to burn through the power. Barry Tollison, Dalton Steele, and the 69, Brian Lashbrook. They are all gunning after one another, and they are all trying to make way and make use of what they've got on the circuit, but now it's turning into a 3-car tandem. Tyler Barnes has found some help, though. And believe it or not, he's actually kind of gained back an old friend there in Tim Richardson. Richardson, though, is a lap down. Same with the number 34, 28, 77, 58, and 18. And, of course, Cody, unfortunately, in the 11 out of the race. So that is a who's who of guys right now just trying to get back on the proverbial lead lap scenario. Ben Parson and Nicholas Don Francesco, though, they saw the writing on the wall. They had to get with that draft line. And now they're working hard with those 2 other cars to get back up there with Barnes and hopefully have a shot at it. Looking at the time zone right now, we're going to see if we can get a gap here between one another. See if we can show it on screen here. Here we go. How about that, folks? Some new details to show you guys. This is now what you're seeing right now on your screen is the lap timer marker. This is the amount of lap gained and lost depending on the driver and those that are on it right now. So right now you can see that Barker, he is currently about, I'd say probably a good 10 seconds away right now. But look at the time gap. Look at the difference here. Now look at Barnes and Parson. Because of that draft, because of that momentum they're carrying through, that lap time by, they are absolutely cooking the speed and endurance, and now it's starting to show. Let's take a look at lap number 34, see what the time gap gained is, or loss. Green represents gain from the other, red represents loss. Big gain there. That's a 0.8 to a 0.7. That is, again, closing the gap. Yeah, very interesting to see. Thanks to Wagoner's Welding for bringing that out to the show here. But now here's the thing. If I'm Welding Senior and I am Barker, pit strategies are going to be very tight here. Because now they got to worry about going into pit road and worrying about when they're going to make that move and make that right call. Here is your time gap right now of that. This is currently what they're looking at and currently what they're dealing with and they're up against. Looking at 19 to 20 laps. In this case, only 19 of fuel run inside of those cars. And again, they are approaching quickly, so about 3 to 4. However, if you look at how many laps they have left to go, They could go into pit road at any time they want. The problem is, they make that move, they need to be very wise in their decision because, again, choosing to go into pit road at the wrong time will end up costing them more than they realize. Let's take a look at our gap time again here, and again, we're going to see just how quick things can turn on a dime here. They are slowly but surely cooking right now. Again, there was 3 cars in that draft, and I thought, honestly, that was going to get some good thumb going there. But honestly, right now, I think maybe 4 is the proper number there, like Sarah said. I think 4 might actually be what they needed. Losing that 3rd driver. Oh! Might not be the best situation there as Richardson has fallen behind the wayside. That's going to hurt the gap. That's going to hurt their drafting here. That's not going to do them good. That is a very, very tough spot to be put into here. And if I am those drivers right now, I'm getting a little bit nervous down there. Ben Parson has made his way back up there quickly with the number 3 of Tyler Barnes. Is the number 34. It's Mike Straminsky is the one right in front of him. And the gap is starting to get a lot harder to gravitate towards around. In the comment section, Dude334 says, glad to see Adam back, and come on, number 3, get to the front. Dude334, great to have you back on the show. I remember you from last time. Good to hear from you and good to see you. Same with all your race fans out there. Just a mere 13 laps left to go. Shane Welding Sr. again, he's been leading this one for a while, but again, with Wagoner and Ace, Matthew Barker right behind him, there is going to come that moment where that pit road strategy has to come into effect. How will they fare and how will they do when they get in and out? Will they take it smooth or will they find themselves in a very troublesome situation? Man, if I am these guys right now, I am absolutely feeling pressure and I am feeling that overall momentum starting to burst down. Pit strategy in, here we go. Heading for pit road. Got a good bunch of them. Don Francesco, Ben Parson, Tyler Barnes, Brian Lashbrook, Dalton Steele, Mike Straminsky, Tim Richardson, and Barry Tolson are into pit road. Coming out. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Oh, a little meeting of the minds, are we? Side by side there with Parsons and Barnes. Parson and Barnes, man, they were right up in each other's grill there. And now into pit road goes the other 3. James Wagoner, Shane Welding Sr., and Matthew Barker Ace are now in pit road. Probably seeing the writing on the wall. They have to get in quick, and they got to get out of there quicker because, again, Barnes and Parson, they're gonna come flying in like an old rusty fish hook into a fishing ring. They want to catch the right fish. Out of pit road, it's going to be Barker. He's got the lead out of pit road, but Barnes and Parson, they're flying quick down the front straightaway. It's going to be a close one here, folks. Can they get that draft going in time? Nyland down about 10 seconds. Now looking for 9, 8. Out of pit road. There was a lot of travel there. I think Barker and Welding Sr. and Wagoner might have got it. But again, Parson and Barnes, they're coming fast. They're coming hard. This is going to be a drag run here. Get a little onboard camera here right now. They're closing it down about 6.5 seconds. Can't quite tell them on your screen, but they are coming. There they are, right off turn 4. But keep in mind, though, the 3-pack is now in a 4-car tandem draft with the number 22. Is Gary Sicklecow literally the one that's going to dictate the end of this race? That's the question. 10 laps left to go here. Don't worry, we'll put the tower back on in a minute. Just a little bit of a hiccup on it. Sarah saying maybe they can get grouped back together after that pit cycle. Well, they definitely tried. They were working hard at it, but it looked like, in my opinion, when the 22 Sickle Cow decided to join in with that 3-car tandem of these guys, it changed the landscape of their run there, and you can see the difference right there. That was your pack. Now here comes the other two guys. Barnes and Parson right now just coming across the finish line. That's the difference, and that is the gap in the travel right now that's hurting them. God, what must be going through Barnes and Parsons' mind right now, just realizing that they had a very unique and strong formula working with them, but it still was not quite enough to get back up to these top 3 guys. And again, I'm not trying to give the old broadcaster curse or nothing, but it's been clean and green this entire race. Very good showing from these drivers and very good showing from everybody on the circuit. Just proves to you and shows, again, that they are out here to race and they're out here to battle at a high level, but they are not going to treat this anything less than a good shootout. We're bringing it down the home stretch at the moment. Matthew Barker Ace leads it. He started in 7th place today. He is currently in the top spot. Shane Welding Sr., he started 2nd. Guess what? He is still in 2nd. James Wagner started in 5th. Top 5 start. Currently in 3rd. Draft zone right now being kind of put into contention here. Man, look at him. Look at the way they had to just get that car to subtly just get nice and steered off from the corner there. Keep in mind, that looks like they were maybe using too much of it off the ends and maybe getting a little too far out from that draft spot to use a side draft on them. But keep in mind, just steering these things, let alone trying to turn them even the slightest bit, all it takes is one wrong move and you're sending that car into the wall. It's not as egregious or crazy as the 87s are, but these things are no joke. And right now, Matthew gotta be looking at that draft zone right now and just thinking, as long as I stay with these guys and right where I want to be, I have this race in the bag. He's about to put a couple more drivers down on our lap, or at the very least, put a few more of them a lap down. Eric Coppathorne and Ty Trafford right now trying to avoid it, but Barker is literally right on their game. They're on their spots and on their shots right now, trying to make this one finish strong. Well, got to give credit to Parson and Barnes. When they had their shot, they had their shot. They made everything work up to that point, and it looked like a really solid strategy. But I think, honestly, they may need to tip the hat off to this pack right now because, again, the strategy Barker and Welding Sr. and Wagner came up with, flawless. 5 laps to go, and no, Barker is not in pit road, folks. He is literally out there leading the race. I don't know why our live timing sheets are currently still getting that fixed up. Sarah Lasper says, yeah, I didn't want to caution, but them to get grouped back together. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd love to see them group back together for a good shootout, but I didn't want to go too crazy with it and end up finding a way to turn it into that kind of a scenario. One thing I've always said, I'm a purebred racing fan through and through, which means I love pure racing from point A to point B. 4 laps left to go. And right now, Matthew Barker Ace is literally doing something that very few people see down here in Talladega anymore. He has got away from the gap. He's got away from the pack, and he is flying. Crazy as it seems, honestly, I kind of love this old school style that we're seeing again. You don't see this very often, so when you do see it, it is actually really nice to see. Just one car getting the better of the other and just finding a way to lay down a momentous speed boost and everything. That's the difference right there. You see that last driver in that pack to what you're seeing with Shane Welding there? That's how far Matthew has got away from him. He is cooking right now. He turned scrambled eggs into a whole feast or famine omelet and decided to throw in a little bit of some bell peppers for some extra spice down on the track. He is absolutely taking this one away, but he's got to watch out because now the other ones are getting a little bit out of control here. That drafting of his has gotten so close to him now, he finds himself in a bit of a bad rut here. Can't get too crazy with it. But he wants to get as far away from everyone else as possible to get this one wrapped up. Here we go. Green flag in the air, high in the sky, 2 to go. And if I'm Capathorn right now, Crawford, and that 77 of Adam Sprinkle, I mean, what must be going through their minds? Other than just at this point, let's just make sure we run this one to the end and run it clean and green. Every single one of these drivers, man, they did everything they could to try and find the right time and find the right spot. I don't think today, though, it's going to go in their favor because somebody found another set of gears and somebody found the perfect run to this one tonight. Here in Talladega, white flag in the air, this time on by for the number 96. Or in this case, I should say, the V5 machine. Matthew Barker is coming out of pit road, knew what he had at his disposal. He knew what to do. And when he found another pack to draft off from, not only did he use it to his advantage, and not only did he square this thing away to get from point A to point B, but he's going to find himself at the top of the mountain, coming this time off on the front straightaway off turn 4. Down past the tri-oval, coming for home. He'll lead him down. It's all the V5. Matthew Barker Ace takes the checker to Talladega. Second's going to go to Shane Whelan Sr., and third will go to James Wagoner. What a race. Clean and green from point A to point B. Whoa, looks like Dalton Steele having a little bit of fun at the end there. Gotta believe the other drivers probably just want to have a good time and enjoy themselves a little bit. But for today, you gotta tip your hat off to some old school style racing when you see it. Genuinely impressed today from the work that this driver put in and what he had to put down on the track. Just nailed the strategy down perfectly. And that V5 Vagisil Chevrolet Monte Carlo. One Chevy, 2 Fords coming out on this one. And we're about to go talk with our driver down there. Getting the work, just getting the A-OK real quick from our drivers, and we'll talk to the top 3 individuals. coming from bottom of the barrels, Team Speedway here on the track. We shed our love and support down here as we now see the number V5 of Matthew Barker Ace coming away with this one. And Matthew, first off, congratulations getting the job done here today. My word, sir, you just somehow, some way out of pit road, just caught the right spots and the right times and managed to nail down that final draft. What was going through your mind when you got up to that pack and you just kind of let it loose from there?
Oh, I took a little bit less fuel than them other guys did there. That's what put me out front. I took barely enough, so if they'd have been a caution come out, I'm not sure I would have made it. So I knew that was probably my only shot. The way these cars were drafting, it didn't take much to lose the draft. So I knew if I could come out front, I'd at least have a shot. Because them two guys there, they were teammates, and coming to the end, I knew they would have teamed up on me. And it just so happened I caught that lap. We caught that lap traffic, and there was enough cars there, and I had a big enough run to where I knew if I could latch on, I might have the possibility of pulling away from them too. And sure enough, it worked out into my favor. Um, I didn't plan it, but it just worked out in our favor. You know, everybody has a day, and I just think today was our day.
It certainly seemed to be that way indeed here. I mean, man, all around, you just absolutely went and just brought it home and fought hard and scratched and clawed this thing from point A to point B. I mean, really had the fuel strategy wise. You said it just a second ago that if it had gone to a caution, that would have been kind of the end of you. Do you think, though, even if that was the case, do you think maybe with get a little bit of fuel, depending on where you're at, do you think you still would have had a shot to maybe run this thing through the gaps?
I would have definitely saved fuel under caution, as much as I could. So either way, with the caution come, I think I would have had a shot because we would all have been grouped up, and being in the front of the fields where you want to be at the end of the race, even if you are grouped up. So our chances were looking pretty good tonight.
For sure there. Well, hey, nevertheless, man, taking a trip down to Victory Lane, I got to ask you, who do you want to thank you for this one?
I want to thank Tim and all of our admins for all that they do. Um, and I want to thank our sponsor, James Wagner's Welding. I wasn't running this paint scheme tonight. We don't run these cars much. We will this season possibly. And I apologize for that, not having you paint scheme on the car tonight. I totally didn't have time to paint it because we always like running his paint schemes. Um, but I do certainly apologize for that. But big shout out to him for everything he does for us. If it wasn't for that man, we wouldn't be here giving this interview right now. He makes everything possible for us. And I want to give a big shout out to all the drivers tonight. What a cautionless race. You can't ask for nothing better than that. Just to put it in the driver's hands and let them run it full out.
For
So
sure.
props to the drivers for a clean race tonight.
Absolutely there. Well, nevertheless, Matt, congratulations again this one to Victory Lane. Well earned and deserved, sir.
Hey, thank you much.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the number V5 tonight, Matthew Barker, the ace himself. We now turn our attention down here to the number 5 of Shane Wheeldon Sr. And Shane, whoo boy, my friend, you definitely had quite a bit going on and a lot on the track there. And really, overall, it looked like you were pretty much kind of staying in touch and staying in line with the rest of the field. But then all of a sudden, Matthew kind of ran away from you guys. I mean, still second place down to sneeze at, considering that's your qualifying spot today.
Yeah, yeah, it was a good race. I had a lot of fun. He snookered me. Yeah, we went around Ty, and he was actually using Ty to be a like kind of like a pick. He was going to go back. He went back down in front of Ty and just um, was able to draft up to those lap down cars, and we were just never able to never able to catch him. So he snookered me. I should have stayed behind Ty and pushed Ty past. Is what we should have done, but we'll know for next time.
Do it for next time, indeed. I mean, obviously, I know these Gen 4 cars much harder to kind of tame and take down a little bit. I got to ask you, like, being inside that cockpit, I mean, what was it like when you're having to deal with the packs to all of a sudden just kind of being in almost a single car to only a two car tandem sometimes, just trying to hang on down there?
Yeah, it might have looked worse than what it was inside. It was pretty stable. You can't really you can bump draft, but you got to be really careful because the bumpers don't really match up. So there's not a lot of aggressive pushing. If you're like the last car in line, if you check up a little bit, you're losing the draft. And you have to use your head a lot more in these cars than you do the other ones. They're not stuck to the ground. They're not just get on the back of the guy and follow. There's strategy. You got to be heads up with them. But yeah, I got loose before that first pit stop was come to the tri-oval and the car got sideways. I was like, whoa, that's different. But after we put on the left side tires and after that pit stop, it was fine the rest of the way.
It was fine the rest of the way indeed, and nevertheless, Shane, you're going to come away second, started second, finishing it there. Who do you want to thank you for that?
I want to thank Wagner Welding. I want to thank Dougie, my team owner, for bringing me on the team. I want to thank the rest of the team, Brian Flashberg. Um, his wife's our biggest fan, and then Patrick Ginter, our other teammate, had to work tonight, couldn't be here, and his girlfriend, she's probably another huge fan. They watch all the races. Slowick Stuff, my sponsor, he pays for all my paints, and he's a coworker of mine in real life, and I just couldn't thank Peter and Stacy Slowick enough. My boy Woody, Jeff Woods, he's always in chat watching. So yeah, and then the guy that made this badass paint is um, Ronster Wraps, Ron Harrington. He does a bunch of my paints. If I run the one like Dougie has, Dougie does my paints, but Slowick Stuff paid for this paint, so I wanted to run it tonight for him. I just want to thank you guys for putting this broadcast. And I want to thank the admins for a little revamp in the league and no cautions tonight. It was great. It was a great race.
Certainly was indeed caution free to the end, and honestly a great ending for you today here, Shane. Congratulations coming on home second, sir.
Yep, second's great. Still a little disappointed. We had it in the bag, and then we just let Matty the Ace Barker snooker us. So a little disappointed, but happy with fifth. So thank you for everything.
Thank you as well. Well, appreciate your time and good luck getting the next time here. Race fan Shane Welding Sr. and the number 5, your second place finisher tonight. Now to finish up our showcase here today, race fans, he's going to put this one in the top 3 today. Well, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the number 30, James Wagner. And Wagner, whoo boy, started 5th in the top 5, into that top 5, but just 2 more spots ahead. I got to believe that the Fords were strapping on here tonight, weren't they?
Oh yeah, it was a fun race. So I enjoyed it. Some of the guys they don't like this car, but I actually enjoyed it.
Enjoyed it. Go on ahead.
Oh, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, good to enjoy and good to run out there. Obviously, I kind of asked some of the guys earlier. It seemed like they were having a little more difficulties kind of keeping this thing under control, but really from point A to point B, it looked like you just kind of were nice in control and just kind of stayed out of issues or any problems. I mean, what was the ticket? What was the secret really that you're able to kind of find some of these other guys could?
Just stay lined up. But also, I felt like a couple times I was on the outside, just kind of by myself. I felt like I was faster than a 3-car tandem on the bottom. And then when a car would pull up to me, it was a little weird, but I don't know. Other than that, I liked it. I would do it again. I mean, it just shows you got to just strategize. You got to be perfect on pit road, off pit road, and but Ace there, old Barker there, Baker, Matt, he pulled a good one on us there. He tricked us a little bit, but when he went high, going around that lap car, you drop back down low. But that's what he's supposed to do. So, but it was a good race.
Was a good race indeed, and nevertheless, here at James, I mean, going for a third place spot today, I'm gonna ask as always, who do you want to thank you for this one today?
Well, I'm gonna dedicate this race to my family, and especially my dad and my uncle Dennis and everything that just passed away. It's something else. So I want to thank my dad at Wagner's Welding. The I want to thank Timmy and Johnny, Ace, everybody that helps make this go. I want to thank you for the broadcast. I mean, it comes together, especially the drivers. We can't do this without the drivers, or the sponsor. So I mean, I just want to thank all of them. So and I appreciate each and every one of them.
For sure there. Well, nevertheless here, I mean, Wagner, congratulations getting in the top 3 today. I know somebody up there is smiling down on you right now for this one, buddy. Congratulations.
Oh yeah, he was in that car with me tonight. He was telling me to stay focused, be patient, because he always loved to go racing. So there's one thing about him. He loved drag racing and dirt track, so and NASCAR and Duke. He loved his Blue Devils. So, but yep, I appreciate you.
No worries. Well, man, hey, take care out there. And congratulations getting this top 3 in today, buddy.
Yep, appreciate you.
Ladies and gentlemen, one last time, give it up for your top 3 drivers. That will all but do it for us here tonight. And again, as you kind of heard just a second ago, that we do want to give a heartfelt condolences and prayers to the Wagner family, as Uncle Dennis sadly has lost his battle and has moved on to the racing gods above and to our good Lord up there racing with all those famed drivers and those guys that he was watching before. Now they're watching him have a little fun with them. So can't help but say some last parting words here for Dennis. We do hope about the best for the Wagner family and everybody. And you will surely be missed, Dennis. May you race in peace, sir. Race fans, from all of us here at Speed Zone TV, we thank you for coming out tonight. Until next time, stay safe. God bless you all. Have a good one from us here at Speed Zone TV.